Welcome back, everybody. This is the ISA Insider News. My name is Max Tim, and of course, with us we have
Shayna Weber. Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Welcome back. It's been a weird week. We've got an interesting top headline because I think it kind of forms I don't know. This week has felt different. Like, how was your
Really?
week? Yeah.
I feel like the week flew by
Yeah.
and I don't really remember it that much. I know I was busy, but I don't know. Why was it weird for you?
Well, we had some death in the family, which is it's
Mm.
nothing tragic, but it was enough to like stir some like, oh gosh, there's some will questions, and then we have another. My grandmother is going to pass away soon. She's 102 years old. It's time for her to go. It's a good thing, when so it's not like it's horribly sad or tragic. It's still just one of those. It's one of those weeks where it's like life.
Right. Everything's sort of like,
yeah,
a little heavy. No.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into another heavy topic.
Let's do it. It's a weird one.
It is weird. I think this whole episode will be weird. Our top headline is all about the pending sale of the Golden Globes by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. This is an article that's on the Wrap. You have to get a trial or a membership to that to read the whole thing. So we will link a couple other articles. But basically, here's the rundown of this article. So in May, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association hinted that they were selling some of its assets, which included the Golden Globes awards presentation. And that would effectively change their status from nonprofit to for-profit. So cut to now, businessman and billionaire Todd Boehly, who has served as the interim CEO of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association since October of 21, has put a bid in, and they have accepted his offer to buy the Golden Globes. And what that has done has created a lot of uncertainty about the future of the Golden Globes, what it means. There are a couple really interesting things that are sort of hidden in this article and situation that, for me, that we can talk about that I found interesting. So it was an overwhelming vote of 76 to 18 in favor of the sale. But what's going to happen for the next 5 years are those voting members of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association will make $75,000. They're going to make a salary just for voting for the next 5 years. So did that push them to vote yes? Because it's like, hi, give me some cash. And then the other thing that I found interesting was that all of a sudden, people are coming out saying, well, once the sale happens, the Golden Globes are dead.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that it would be, but at the same time, they're probably dead because of the lack of interest from an industry standpoint. It may not be from an audience standpoint. Most general audience members would probably still want to watch the Golden Globes. I guess I probably would if it was on, but now with it feels like a big shift to capitalism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this gentleman, Todd Boehly, he owns a ton of companies, has investments in a ton of companies. Yeah. He's a 20% owner of the Dodgers. He also owns
Chelsea Football Club.
So he's got his fingers in a lot of different places. So yeah, it just depends. I mean, there are for-profit awards shows like the People's Choice Awards, which do not have the same credibility that, say, the Oscars, or even though they're filled with controversy right now, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's Golden Globes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, they have to pull a profit now. Like now it's about just numbers. And so what's it going to look like? How are they going to convince the talent to participate? I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are just going to be like, no. But at the same time, I do know that a lot of the talent enjoyed the Golden Globes ceremony a lot more than the Academy Awards because it's more of a party. Yeah. It'll be interesting to track to see how this goes. But I don't know if it's dead. I think that might be doom and gloom feeling, because I don't think this Boehly guy would have done this had he had any inclination that this thing would just bottom out. He wouldn't have put, however much. What was the selling price? It was like,
they didn't say.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hundreds of millions. So this guy's an investor. He owns what, the Eldridge firm, Eldridge Industries, which is an equity firm. I mean, he would not have done this. And there was an article I read from May that a lot of industry insiders were saying Boley's going to end up buying it anyway. It's a top headline because it's big news. The hard part is that there isn't a lot to report other than let's see what happens with the Golden Globes and just in general the industry award season.
Yeah, I think it's going to affect all the awards, because if it does well as a for-profit and let's say they get it on Amazon or something like that for the show, and they get tons of, ad sales and all of that, and they make a ton of money, who's to say that the Oscars isn't going to decide to go for profit? So,
which that would be wild to have,
and pay the celebrities to be there. Who knows?
Right, you have to pay people. You're going to pay Academy members to be a member of the Academy,
Sign me up.
That's why you all watch our show, for these hard-hitting, deep dive details into our top headlines.
I mean, it is a headline that's not, it's not wide and broken open that much yet. It's pretty small right now. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see sort of where it goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's move on to this week in ISA Insider. We've got, we're highlighting one of our favorite people again, Lee Jessup.
I'm going to let you take this one away since I talk so much about that top story.
He is. It's a big one to talk about because I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't think it's going to rock the industry. But then again, some changes are coming. On top of all other changes.
To me, it's comparable to, let's say, it's not comparable. This one's, to me, smaller. But for example, like the NCAA is now letting their athletes make money off of sponsorships and deals and things like that, which was never, that is huge. Yeah. There are millionaire college athletes now. Yeah. So it's just when things go for profit and you start to really get into with these big millionaire investors and stuff like that, like, how's it going to shift the entire awards industry?
Yeah. I could talk for a while on the NCAA thing, but but you're right. No, I completely agree. Okay, let's move on to this week in ISA Insider News. So we're highlighting another article from Lee Jessup. You should check out leejessup.com. Lee is awesome. She just knows so much about the industry. She's a career coach. If you're looking for coaching from a consulting level that's more about career guidance than it is notes, she does provide notes, but it's more about career guidance. You can just reach out to leejessup.com. I think she has a writing group that she hosts on a regular basis. She's awesome. But this article, there's no way we're going to be able to go through all the details because it's long, but boy, is it extensive in terms of what you're going to learn about the general meeting. It's all about what to expect from a general meeting. What is a general meeting, Shana, if you can summarize just in your own words?
Well, to me, a general meeting is you are having a first meeting with a producer or a production company or a manager or an agent, whoever it is. And it's a get to know you type of meeting, but you better be prepared to talk about yourself in a very interesting way, because it's sort of like a job interview. Essentially, you're not pitching a project, but you are pitching yourself and your voice and your presence as a writer or a producer or whatever you are.
The executive will probably have already read something by you, and that's usually what creates the general meeting. Or your manager had sent out, like Jewel Ross is saying in this article, he's a manager. He sends the project out to 80 different companies. The writer gets 40 different meetings. Suddenly, holy cow, we've got this slew of meetings, half hour to 45 minutes each. The key to go through, and these are just excellent questions, because there is one that kind of made me a little nervous. But she lists questions to expect in the general meeting. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Are you from Los Angeles? How did you get into writing? These are easy. How do you define your voice or your brand? That one's a little bit more, I have to prepare. In other words, she's saying, what do you write? But the one that got me was, what are some of your favorite movies, TV shows, writers? That's easy. Showrunners. That's where I was like, I'm going to have to make sure I can refer. Showrunner names are not names that we always remember, other than the huge ones like a Shonda Rhimes, but everybody knows Shonda Rhimes. So you want to make yourself not look smart. You want to present yourself as you are, which is smart and not.
Well, I mean, if you're going for a general with a showrunner or a manager or a producer, and you want to be a TV writer, and they say, who are your favorite showrunners? I mean, you better know who the showrunner is of your 3 favorite shows and why you like that person, or what they do,
Right,
or what they bring to that show that you really resonates with you. I'm going to go back to the beginning of that, because also general meetings are if you are referred to somebody by a mutual friend or something. That is sometimes how you get a general meeting, and they haven't read anything about you.
okay.
So it's that beginning introduction to somebody and finding out about their company, them finding out about you, so that then as they move forward, they'll think of you possibly for any projects. So it goes both ways.
Right. Excellent article read, a ton of information. They have a lot of quotes, Lee has a lot of quotes from different people, from like Echo Lake, the Cartel, a couple of quotes from Jewel Ross, Untitled Entertainment, a lot of people talking about what a general meeting is. And I think we all need to know what this is, whether you're writing for TV or features, it doesn't matter. So check that out. Check out leejessup.com. She has a whole bunch of blog articles on her website as well. But of course, you can find this on ISA Insider News.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah, it is.
Really
but you recently had a webinar.
I didn't have a webinar, but we at ISA had a webinar.
Got it.
If you want to learn more and you don't want to, or you want to read the article and then you want to dive deeper, we had a webinar hosted by Nickelodeon, Demystifying the General Meeting, and it is located on our pro tips page. You can go there and watch that entire webinar in replay and learn more about the insider info of a general meeting.
This kind of harkens back to, I think we might have mentioned it in a previous broadcast, or I was talking about it in my writing group. I can't remember which. It's probably both. But this is about being a nerd about what you're doing, like really be a student of not just your craft from an educational standpoint, but the industry. That's why you're watching this show. You're trying to learn, what is Max and Shana talking about today in terms of the industry. And that's why we have the ISA Insider News on the website. So you can just, what's going on? These are all stay up to date kind of things, and knowing and learning about a general meeting. Even if you're not going to have one for another couple of years, whatever, you're ready.
But these are all questions that she listed here that you should prepare anyway, because if you go out to a networking event, or you go out to a film festival, or you go out to any sort of industry event and you meet someone, you can have those tools inside so that when you're trying to have a conversation and they ask you, what are your favorite movies, or when did you start writing, or what do you write about? What do you like? You have an answer, not prepared where you're like, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But you have that information already prepared, and it's like sitting in the back of your brain, and you can easily talk rather than like freeze up and go, I've never seen a movie in my entire life anymore, and I don't know anything I've ever watched, which is what I do in every situation.
It's such an excellent point, because you never know how a general meeting could happen. You might be at an event, whether it's a networking event or you just go to a premiere and suddenly it's your favorite showrunner and you're standing in line and you strike up a conversation. You have to be comfortable with talking about yourself. And that's something that's mentioned in the article, that it's tough to just talk about yourself, because we're kind of not really wired that way. But so it's really, What are we watching?
I didn't watch that much this week, which again goes into our weird week. I finished watching The Bear on Hulu, which to me is so fabulous in so many ways. I think that it turns some people off because it's very loud. It's like very loud and male energy and like people yelling, and it's like, ah. But when you quiet down, and it's really about the main character and what he's going through, which is the trauma of his brother killing himself and him taking over this restaurant that was owned by his brother, and sort of like trying to fix all the stuff that's sort of like just been sitting there, and working through his own trauma and PTSD from the relationship. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful combination to me.
It's good to know, because I've put it off because I worked in food and beverage for almost 20 years, and I don't know if I want to live through it again.
Yeah, I think it's like that reminds me of when I read the book, The Devil Wears Prada. I didn't see the movie yet, but I read the book. And I swear to God, there were chapters I was sweating. I
Yeah,
was sweating because I've been that assistant who
right.
has to go get coffee. And if it's cold when you get back, you have to go back out. And you're like trying to time it to when your person comes back.
Oh,
You're
it's
like,
just
ah.
a
I was like
giant anxiety.
sweating reading that book. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So I can, yes, it'll probably give you some like agita where you're just, oh.
Everybody's saying it's so good though, so we gotta, I gotta jump in. I need a new show. But you also watched the documentary.
Okay, so I also watched this documentary on, I think it was on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. The Most Hated Man on the Internet.
Yeah, what is that?
And it's like a 3-part docu-series about this guy who started a revenge porn website in like 2012. And yeah, it was called Is Anybody Up? I had never
The
heard of it,
website's
but
called this?
the website was called this.
Okay.
So it was people would post naked pictures or topless pictures or whatever pictures of somebody else. And then you could go on and see it. At that time, the law didn't protect
Okay.
anybody from that. Like if somebody posted on a website, it wasn't that website's responsibility
Wow.
anymore. So he had this thing for like a year and a half, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's crazy. He had no shame in doing this. And he sold it finally. And then he went to jail because it turns out he was hacking people's emails
No.
to try to find pictures. Yes, it's just like craziest thing.
Talk
I was
about
like,
no morals, man.
no morals.
Wow.
So yeah,
I don't know if I want
aptly
to watch
titled, He's a Douche.
that.
Just say it. Yes. Hence the title. So what did you watch?
I did not watch anything about any douchey dudes, but I did watch a movie. I'm trying to get into at least one movie a week. I gotta be watching more movies. We watch so much TV, and there's some really good movies out there. But I watched a movie called The Outfit with Mark Rylance. Mark Rylance is always so good, but it's a one location thriller about this gentleman, Mark Rylance, who owns a tailor shop. He's a cutter. And
oh, yes, I've heard of this. Yes.
yeah, the Chicago mob families come in and use this little like message, like envelope, mailbox, if you will, to send messages. And he kind of gets caught up in it. But what's fun is that there's a whodunit kind of mystery that unravels. And I don't want to give anything away. It's definitely worth watching. It's not by any means the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it was very entertaining. It was really well done. Looked really good. Very, very cool that it was one location. You don't even feel that after a while. That was good. But then I watched the documentary last night called The Day That I Die, which is the story of Don McLean's song American Pie. And it was wonderful. It was just so good. The people who produced the documentary really ultimately, in terms of what I watched, they deserve the handshakes. But of course, American Pie is such a classic, and it's just a really, really cool story.
That's interesting. What is that one on?
Paramount Plus. Yeah.
Maybe I'll check that out. I do want to see the outfit though. That one did. I remember thinking of that, going, oh, that looks interesting.
Yeah, it's worth it.
And good. I hope it cleaned your palate from Gray Man.
It did. It did. Oh Lord, the Gray Man. As a disclaimer for everybody watching, we said some things that were pretty harsh about the movie. It's just to reiterate the fact that these are just our opinions. We're not formal review people. I just, you can like whatever movie you want. You are not wrong if you like the Gray Man. I just want to put that out.
Yeah, I mean, our quotes that we said that Scott pulled out and made into a poster, which was hilarious. Yeah, we're oh so eloquent in our discussion. Yeah. So honestly, like opinions are like what's. Everyone has one. So that's ours.
All right, moving on to ISA Twitter question time. So what do we have here for? It's a really good one, actually.
It's a fun one. It's from Mike Starbury. Hi, Mike. Thank you for posting this. It was fun to think about. I mean, it starts off with the reason why. A screenwriter got clowned for not knowing what do the right thing is. And that prompted this question. What classic film or films are you kind of ashamed that you have yet to see?
I would love for everybody to put it in the comments. Let's be honest, be truthful. I'm throwing some out here that's going to make a couple of them, everybody is going to be like, what? How have you not watched that? Did I go first or should you go first? Who is going to be embarrassed?
You go first.
Okay. The worst one, and every time it comes up, I always feel ashamed, which is ridiculous. But 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've never seen it.
Well, I saw that movie when I was probably 10 years old. because my brother is a big, huge nerd and like space nerd, and I hated it.
Okay.
Oh my God. I thought it was like the worst thing in the whole world. I was like, this is so boring. Now I appreciate it, but I don't want to see it again. So,
Okay. I mean, it is one of those movies that, you know,
yeah.
you should see, you know, but
Yeah.
then Dr. Zhivago, and then I haven't seen it, but then also Dr. Strangelove. Those are two separate movies. Like in my head, since I haven't seen either, I've always been thinking it's the same. Those are two different movies.
I have not seen Dr. Strangelove either.
And Dr. Strangelove is called something much longer.
And the something of the something something. Yes.
Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yes. I haven't seen that either. Okay, so for me, one is one that is embarrassing that I haven't seen it, and then the other gets that reaction that like what? So the big one is I've never seen North by Northwest.
That's not like, oh my God. I wouldn't respond in a way of like, oh my, you're crazy for not having the other one, maybe.
Well, people do reference that movie a lot. Maybe I'm just sensitive to that because I haven't seen it. So every time somebody references, I'm like, oh, shame. The other one that I've never seen, and I've never seen any of them, I've never seen Rocky, and I've never seen any of the Rocky movies.
That's surprising, mainly because you're not going to flip through the channels before streaming and find North by Northwest. You're probably going to find Rocky. And it just never happened.
I don't know. And then I don't watch any of the other ones because I haven't seen the first one. So why would I watch the second or third or eighth or 12th one, whatever, if I haven't seen the first one? And I don't really want to see it.
That's, to each their own. You don't have to watch Rocky.
I mean, I'm sure there are many classic movies that I have not seen that in my writing group they talk about. And I'm like, what? Say what? What is it?
I pulled up.
But
the American Film Institute, technically, according to them, 100 greatest films of all time. And we'll share the link just so everybody can flip through it, because it is a good check system to go through. And I did this in college where I was like, I'm going to follow this and I'm going to try to watch as many of them as I can. And just flipping through this, I was like, you know what? I've seen most of these. I've never seen the 1956 The Searchers, 1931.
Oh, I have.
You've seen The Searchers? Okay.
I have.
1931 City Lights. I don't know what that is. There's I've never seen High Noon, which I should, because I like Westerns. But there are a lot of these that I'm happy to say that I've watched. But if you are a film lover, but also someone who wants to write features, you kind of need to watch as many of these as possible. We've got to be studying. We've got to be nerds.
So, oh yes, there is one other movie that I have never seen, and I'm so embarrassed by it that I didn't even put it on my list to talk about. But I'm gonna confess, I've never seen that Fellini movie,
La Dolce Vita.
La Dolce Vita. Yes.
Yeah. The actress in The Fountain is Anita Ekberg. She was just so absolutely beautiful in this movie. I saw it in college only because I took a course on Fellini. Like, I don't think this would have been a movie that I would have watched. Fellini is arguably out of his mind. There was a movie from him, and of course, can't think of it. But he did like a direct adaptation of, it's not the Dead Sea Scrolls, but an ancient religious artifact that they only had like 3/4 of it. Like the rest of the document doesn't exist. So he just made the movie based on what they had. So there was no ending. It was just like, here's what happens. There's like a giant minotaur in it. And it was the weirdest freaking movie. Plus I had to watch these movies at like 9 a.m. in this really cozy little theater on a Wednesday. Oh God, it was
good nap time.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to our final segment. As usual, it's usually good news of the week. We're going to do something a little different. This is just weird news of the week.
It's creepy.
Really creepy.
You have to see this picture that goes along with what he's talking about. It's creepy.
We will
post. I love it. I love it.
Wow. I had a feeling you were going to like this. But Shane and I both kind of have some of the same macabre, taste when it comes to just weird things. But imperial moth spotted with name Anna spelled on its back below a face. This is the title of the headline. A 25-year-old woman was stunned to spot a face named Anna appearing on the moth's back. There's not that much more we need to say other than just look at it. But what's funny I was laughing pretty hard because people, this went around the internet. People were sharing this and racked up a bunch of shares and comments. People began tagging friends named Anna, commenting about the face's resemblance to famous people like Charles Manson, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, and Jesus. I only see Dracula.
Yeah, I see like a vampire with massive teeth.
Yeah.
That's ready to eat you. And I see Aha. So I will just think of Take on Me.
Yeah, the N is not perfect. Pretty close. But,
yeah.
Come on. We can't be that critical of nature.
That face is like,
it's crazy. I could maybe see a little bit of a Charles Manson, but this is Dracula. I'm only seeing a vampire coming to kill us all.
Yeah.
So that is our weird news of the week. Maybe because we're leaning toward the fall season, not quite. We're still well in the summer. Maybe we're leaning toward Halloween. I don't know.
Well, it is beginning of August and school's going to start here pretty soon.
That's scary enough. Yeah.
Getting ready for the fall. We're getting ready for Halloween.
That's our news show of the week, everybody. If you have comments, if you have questions, put it on our YouTube page. If you're not subscribed to the ISA's YouTube channel, you should be. But we'd love to hear the movies that you are ashamed to mention and note that you have not watched.
Yes, embarrass yourself just like we do all the time.
Every
week. I'm sure there's something.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. As always, Shana, it's fun, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.